good start on that.
Yeah. When Mr. Spencer comes to you and says, we need money for iReady, we need money for this, and we need money for the aligning of the curriculum, all those are things that you all need to agree to help reach your goals. Monitor and evaluate progress. You all get routine progress reports from Mr. Spencer and staff regarding iReady and all the things, all those first three goals. And then use as a standard for decision making. So do you all have any questions about your goals?
Well, I think this will give us a really clear picture, and I think it also speaks well when we do look at the accountability piece of being able to, at least we know, who knows where they will go, but I don't think they'll deviate a whole lot from this.
Right, I don't think so either. They're not gonna throw the whole thing out, so
Yeah.
there's gonna be some.
I think they've been
minor
written
tweaks.
with a lot of the federal guidelines
Right.
in place.
Right. The lime green sheet you all have there, I just wanted to put that back out in front of you. When you did the self-evaluation last August, you said you were gonna focus on standard 1, 2, and 4. So I just wanted to circle back around to make sure that that is still what you wanna focus on, or if you wanna talk about, have you met those standards this year? Do you want to look at other standards? Or do you want to keep those three?
You know,
I think-
focusing on, I'm sorry to
Go
interrupt
ahead.
you. Focusing on 1, 2, and 4 has kind of helped 5.
Well, I was gonna say that maybe we need to,
Yeah, maybe this should be a focus of ours, because it's improving, but it's still not where I think it needs to be. But I think this one might be one we need to focus on.
since that's part of the kind of shift in the organizational chart in the district of
Yeah.
instruction as well as student well-being,
Mm-hmm.
that may be a good one to add to standard 5, to be focused
Okay.
this year.
Yeah.
So just keep working on the rest,
Yes.
1, 2, and 4, but add 5
Add
as
five,
well.
or
Okay.
they
Mhm.
my thoughts.
Yeah.
Under standard 4, that last item, develop a decision-making process for consistency. I think the goals will help with that. You know, but basically you do have a system in place for, there's a request, or the superintendent will give you a heads up on this is what's coming, then it will provide you with information. You have an opportunity to review, to ask questions before you make a decision. And it's not something typically that's put on the agenda and they never vote on it that night. You have multiple months to consider it before you actually make that decision. So just add standard 5 into your work this year, always focusing on climate, culture, and relation to the other things.
And I would think then if you all want to, you could do a motion then if you want to revise your board goals, you can do that because it's on, we've got it actually on the agenda.
Yeah, it's on there.
Would you rather do it in an open meeting so you can read them
You
so
could
the
do it
public
however you want to do
hears
it.
it?
I mean, you have them ready, so you could. we
It
could
might
do
be a
that
good
at-
idea
We could
to-
do it at the first, we could do it at the August,
Meeting.
whatever date that was, the
17th, I think
17th.
it is. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
And that way
fine.
you give you an opportunity to get them.
I'll
Yeah, we
write
can
them
just
and send it
discuss
to
that, you know,
Chelsea.
we had
And
a
I'll send it
meeting
to all of you.
and we discussed, and these are the changes that we made, and the new goals of focus for our district, and then we'll be in there.
So you
Okay.
just need it probably on this one, you just table this one.
Okay.
And, that, since it's written this way,
Okay.
table to the,
All right, I move that we table revised Board of Education goals for the district
I assume Ms.
till
Crowley was
August
finished.
meeting.
Okay, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Take a second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries.
Okay, outside of all the information we can find on this new accountability system, are there other training topics that you all are interested in, concerned about? Charter schools is another one that's coming, but
I've had a lot of people
That-
questioning me about that, but I'm not sure it's gonna be such an issue for us here, but,
um,
I mean, I personally wouldn't mind having some more information, because I don't know a whole lot about the whole thing. Just what I've heard, and you know how that can get you in trouble if you repeat what you heard, so,
and they're still just trying to develop those guidelines, so that's not completed yet either. That's
Mhm.
another one that KBOE is gonna have a special meeting about,
Yeah.
charter school regulations
yeah.
and the board's role. And we certainly want to help you be prepared for
Mhm.
when someone calls up Mr. Spencer and says, I got an application for a charter school, has to come to you all, you won't have to make that call. But I assure you, we will have lots of training opportunities on that, on this new accountability system and the charter schools.
And when is the next, KSBA training?
December.
So it's all in
December.
December.
December and then March.
Okay.
And I know March will be heavily weighted with accountability and charters, those sessions. But hopefully we'll have some ready by December as well. At least a brief overview, might not be all the nuts and bolts. So if there are other things, finances seem to be,
I mean, I'm fine with finances, but I don't know if anyone else would like some more training in it and all it.
I would like more training in it. I mean, I think I understand a lot about our municipal balance sheets, but you know how you go on to what you know and kind of skate your eyes over the parts that you might not be as confident about. That would be visually
And what we may be able to do with that as well is we may be able to just set some time up with Lori.
Right.
And let you look
but
over
you
something.
might, yeah, I do that.
And look, we
And I have actually done that too, but
Okay.
I just think, you know, when we hear about it, because we do say that it's all right what, you know, where Lori has put money in discussion with Mr. Spencer and stuff like that, but sometimes I go wrong now, which, what is that out of, a little bit?
It can be confusing on what's, you know, out of fun too. And
And
what
we might be
can
able to get
out of fund.
Haran to side or something to come in from KDE to go through.
He's really
And go
good.
through some of those things, but we can.
Right.
Yeah.
And there'll be a lot of finance at Winter.
Right. I mean, and I've listened to what they say about finance, and I go, okay, got that.
I got it.
Okay, I got that. I got that.
Mhm.
And then I go,
What
Why do I
days,
still feel like I look at all these papers and go,
I think there's a lot of folks out there look at some of those things. We're still trying to figure out the seat formula after.
Yeah.
This is 1990.
Yeah.
So, what days would be, if you were available for a session on that, is there a particular day of the week or?
yeah, I'm a Tuesday afternoon person.
Okay.
Anything else you all need from me?
I think we're good.
Okay. I'll break this up, send it to Chelsea and all of you all as well.
Thanks so much.
And you all can approve them at your next meeting. And just recommend you read them, just so the community and
Yeah.
staff know that this is what you're focused on.
You changed it.
Okay? All
That's
good?
good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Craig.
And we'll get back together and try, once we get more clarification, we'll.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. That'll be an ongoing project through the rest of the fall.
So Mr. Hackett walk in.
Yeah, Mr. Hacker's here.
Yeah, I'm thrilled.
While we're waiting on him, you may want to fill out your evaluation.
We already done that.
Evaluation. And mainly, again, is that the last one, number 5? Look at 6. That I
you at the state board meeting last week?
I was not able to go. My father-in-law passed away that morning, so I watched portions of it via video, but
Good things going on.
and for this district, as far as the goals and the vision and mission, if you all have been to some of the trainings that we've had, it was, I think people are ready to work. I think they're excited.
Well, that's good.
Can you talk to us a little bit?
It's not about you,
A little
really.
bit about, you know, how's it coming
Let's do it
along?
during the communication sharing, please.
Okay, next item on the agenda is out of area attendance requests.
Be right back.
So
Grab the
one
wrong
thing
folder,
we forgot.
right.
Thank you, Jim. You had it first, right?
Here's the most recent requests I've gotten. All of them fit the criteria that we've set. Has either been childcare, a staff member's child. And although I haven't heard from all of the members of the attendance committee, I have heard from all of them approved. So that's the general consensus of the attendance committee.
I make a motion to approve the out of area attendance request.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any nays? Motion carries. Now on to the second reading of uniform code acceptance student behavior handbook.
After looking through and conferring with the two principals, and then I've actually sent on and got comments from several on the committee. There's not a whole lot of changes, but there's two issues that come up that I talked with Mr. Spencer today. Basically the way the policy we have right now for dress and appearance for the district-wide policy only addresses two things, and that's piercings and hats. And actually, the high school is looking to address specifically the hat issues. So after confirming them and talking with Mr. Spencer, we may want to look at putting in some kind of stipulation like at the school's discretion. Because what we want to try to do is not handcuff each district or each school, because we want it to be age appropriate for all things. I mean, in some things, specifically we're talking about dress, some things that are appropriate for a young child to wear are not appropriate for a high school student to wear. Like, you know, the one thing that comes to mind with me is spaghetti top dresses.
Mm-hmm.
So having that in there as leaving those kinds of things, you know, as the school's discretion, allows them to develop their own policies that would be age appropriate to whatever students they handle. So.
And for instance, if your high school, let's say if they was to have a hat day every Friday or whatever, but if you leave the policy as it currently states, you couldn't have, I mean, it says the district, no hats. So then if they had a policy that said, you know, Fridays are, then they couldn't do it because it wouldn't meet the
Yes.
district policy. So
Okay.
it just kind of takes some of the, it puts it more and let them have some
In the school
decision.
thing, and I'm totally fine with that myself on this.
So we may look at, I don't know if Mr. Spencer, if we have to kind of address that, the policy issue before we can look at it here. I mean, there's not really many changes that, over the handbook. Most of it's basically either a change of committee members or basically changing a lot of dates. The other policy that I noticed we actually maybe didn't, I don't know, address it. I thought we had talked about it many, many times, was the telecommunications policy. And that's another thing that's kind of age appropriate, because we want to teach our especially our high school students, to be good stewards of technology and not use it for, so it was not so much about using it, at a whatever limited amount of time. It's basically using it in a wise manner. So teaching them that, you have this technology, this tool available, it's how you use it, and not necessarily, when, that you having to watch the clock, oh, is it time that I can use it now, or is the teacher, sometimes actually what we're moving to is the teachers allowing the students to use the technology that's available to them instead of, the world's not going to change. I mean, if anything, we need to use what tools are available to access the information more easily. So that's actually what we're trying to move toward here. It's not necessarily clamp and limit the amount of time that students have the technology and tools available. Is how they basically use that. So we actually had gone through and set the policy as using only in non-instructional times, but that's another one of those policies that by doing that, you're limiting the teacher to,
Well, they can text
Most-
answers, for instance, and have like a
well,
scale pop up
they can
with
actually
questions and stuff.
have many apps. You can use them
Yeah.
like clickers.
Yeah,
So we're going to basically limit ourselves. If a teacher decides to use that in their classroom, then it goes actually against policy.
okay.
So that's another one of those issues where I think the schools know what age of students and what their students are capable of and how to use that technology. So what we will try to do is, basically say, schools need to develop some kind of policy for whatever age of students that, because they know what access the students have to technology and how much they're capable of doing with what they have. So that's another one of those policies that we may want to look at, leaving it at the school's discretions as well. And then have them develop, because even if you go to a situation where if they do something wrong with it, how you're going to punish a younger child is going to be totally different than how you punish a high school child. So it basically, that's one of those things I think we also need to look at addressing that, or allowing the schools to develop policies for that particular policy, that issue as well, the telecommunications.
And we've had conversations with our board attorney, and he said that you can make those adjustments to your handbook this afternoon since it's the second reading.
Okay.
And, just getting with the devices and so forth, I mean, we need to start thinking about, we talked a moment ago about a 21st century building. You may be able to walk in, now we have, when our teachers walked into the training today, they didn't sign in on a piece of paper. They signed in using Google Chromebook, and they submitted their name that way. We had an instant roll. They sent it to me. I mean, you could tell exactly who was there. So we need to start thinking about as a district, we want to start encouraging our kids to use technology more, because what I can envision Menifee County is we lack a lot of industry here, but there's a lot of opportunities for folks to be able to sit here at home with the fiber optics that we have through Mountain Telephone. They can sit right here and work. We've interviewed some folks for nursing position here, and some of those folks are currently working with companies right now that are sitting at home working, making $40,000 and $50,000 a year, if not more, doing work from home. So why can't we start providing those same opportunities for some of our kids? So I just think if by limiting this, that we are doing our kids an injustice. And plus also probably creating more work for us as we go on down the road by having policies that may end up creating more issues than what they're good.
So if we approve, the second reading for this tonight, then like next board meeting, we could put on there to revamp our policies, is that how it works?
We can review it, we, just basically you're reviewing your handbook based upon your, you
Based
know.
on that,
Yeah.
okay. Another question too, where you mentioned the hats, last year Halloween was a little bit of an issue at the K-8 school because of them wearing masks and having props, so we may
And
wanna
that's
let
why
the school
that's
look at
school,
that
right.
for those kind of things as well, yeah, because it didn't meet dress code, and so we had a little issue, so that'll put all that back into the school's hands, which is where,
And
in my
I'll
opinion,
converse,
it
and I'll
needs to
converse
be.
with our board attorney on those other
Mhm.
policies, but I did ask today specifically about the handbook, and he said it
Okay.
was okay since it was the second reading, and I'll ask about the policy.
Okay.
The only really major change, other than those two issues that we had come with those policies, is our absence and excuses policy has been on the books for many years. It's just, we've never really followed it as far as the corrective action plan. We took that, and it's straight out of board policy, we took that corrective action plan and also put it in the handbook so that kids, when they enter kindergarten, they know. And I've had discussions with the school staffs at all three of the schools, that even in kindergarten, if they don't come to school and they have 3 unexcused absences, they shouldn't be allowed to get to play whatever, kindergarten first basketball and all the other things that go along with that.
Extracurricular.
So they're all the way up through, that's the rule, they understand that, and then when they get to high school, they've had many years to know what the policy is.
Well, mommy
So-
and daddy have had many
so
experiences too.
then there shouldn't be issues of, where they miss school their senior year and they don't get to go to prom or whatever.
Mhm.
So, this is a policy that we're in their discussions with them. If we're truly wanting to build students who are college and career ready, then they need to,
Attendance is a big
understand
part
what
of it.
what the restrictions are from a very early age, so that when they get to where they're almost adults now, they need to know what the rules are.
This ties right back into your goal that you did just a few moments ago about establishing attendance rate of 96% by 2018. That would start that process. And also as far as having a district where you are, as far as your graduation rates and so forth, and your career and college readiness rate, this would let them, get them guided toward that.
So, and that was the only real major change that we had. All the other policies have pretty much stayed the same.
And I think you all received an electronic copy.
Yes.
Yeah, it was like.
So you all have, so it's not like this is the first time that you all have had access to it.
I tried to highlight, and I'm not sure if it came through in the electronic copy, the major changes were highlighted, so. Any other questions?
No, I make a motion we approve the second reading of the uniform code of student behavior with the changes that Mr. Hacker discussed. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries. Mail schedule for Menifee Elementary.
Well, Ms. Means sent her apologies that she could not have it for the last one, but they have, because they share staff and have to make schedules around high school, and high school has, and they're actually also were at that time working on a schedule for them so that they could allow their 8th grade students to move up and take high school classes. So it took her a little longer to arrange her schedule, and she actually had to go back and kind of took out her bills and put the middle school students on the same kind of schedule as the K through 5 students as well. So there's, if you go into the school there and you hear bells, it's probably going to be either the start of school or the end of school. So, and there's a whole lot of people say that, taking out the bells anyway takes out another distraction.
It is a distraction. I feel like you've got middle school bell and it's
Yeah.
just for the middle school, but elementary hears it,
Yes.
so it's, yeah.
So, but I have looked at her schedule. It actually provides an excess of minutes, which is, is never a bad thing, of instructional time. So, they have a 405-minute instructional minutes, which for each day gives them actually 30 extra minutes of instructional time. So, And
Are they gonna use that 30 minutes and with RTI stuff, or is it just they're
I would
spread out through
imagine
the
so,
day? Okay.
you know, in her discussions I've had with her, they really don't have any dead time, so.
Yeah, I figured it's probably really got to focus on that. All right, I make a motion we approve the bill schedule for Menifee Elementary.
A second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries. Communication and sharing.
Okay. Mr. Hacker, you may have heard Ms. Hacker talk a little bit about the Obeas. I haven't
Yes.
heard. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? I know it's not in your, putting you on the spot, but,
His lane, is it?
you're out of your lane, but,
Well, to me, and you know, I haven't been a whole lot of trainings because I've been doing other trainings, so in my experience, it kind of goes back to treating other people the way you would like to be treated.
The old golden rule.
The old golden rule kind of thing. So, you know, they are going through and basically teaching our staff, you know, how to address certain issues and, you know, if you want any more than that, you
but just from conversations, and I think Mr. Hacker could at least attest to this, we've had very positive feedback coming out from the training sessions that we've had today, both at the elementaries and the high school level. We had the high school training was today finalized, and then we had the elementary training last week. And so far, the districts that have utilized Obeas have had a lot of success with it. And as far as the district, it would be, I think there's $1 survey fee that the district would have to provide. But just the teachers have really left, like I said, the culture is greatly improved.
I can only tell you about 2 other districts, and then of course my wife. My wife loves it, of course. She's a school psychologist, and you know, been a number of years here, so she actually loves the program. And then there's actually two other districts I've kind of had discussion with their DPPs, and they've had really good results with the program. So
More like better attendance because kids are
it's
more
a whole
satisfied.
wide ranging program. Kids actually want to come to school because there's a culture of, you know, acceptance and learning is expected. There's been less behavior problems. So, I mean, it's like, you can't confine it to just one area. Grade, their achievement's gone up. So it's not just.
It's not just
Everything.
behavior, it's a lot
Yeah.
of things, more well-rounded children.
And is this part of a curriculum or just part of something that's like a style that we're using to teach or?
Well, I would probably best say it's a program to actually help everything else. It's a lot of it's, well, there's a big component, of course, of character education, but it's also other things as well. I mean, just culture. I mean,
Is this a training just for the teachers, or is there like, program things that go with the children as well? Do they have
well,
like little pull-out
teachers,
sections?
administrative staff, and I would say at some point we'll be also bringing along support staff as well. It's just the teachers are the ones that are with the students most of the day. So those are
Yeah.
the group we wanted to hit
Focus.
first.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
Sounds good. Do you see the board as having any role in particular to?
yeah, of course. At some point, this is actually not supposed to be, the whole entire effort is actually supposed to be a community-wide effort.
Oh, okay.
So even though a lot of things are started in the school, it's going to branch out eventually. And part of it's, community and parent relations, that kind of thing as well. Knowing it's more inclusive than, it's, because that's part of it. We need not just the staff at the school focusing on those things. We want other people involved, and that's, we've got actually a number of programs that, you know, I think will go right along with the Olvea stuff. The three from Menifee, just getting people in and seeing what's going on. You know, if parents do that, then they're also enforcing the same things that we're trying to do with the teaching staff and the support staff at school. So the students will not only get it at school, but we're hoping those things will also get reinforced at home as well. So,
That's
Okay,
getting all of that
so maybe that
well-being
is
stuff.
something we're gonna need a training on. Do you,
I
I'll ask
can-
Mr. Spencer.
yeah, I can talk to my wife and see, you know, what Catherine will be able to tell you much more what kind of role that
We can play.
y'all can play in the process, so.
Yeah, and just help them understand more about it. And, yeah, bring them. It'd be great to have a training.
I don't know if he has anything else to say, so we'll wait just a second.
That's what we're trying to go away from.
Does anyone else have anything they want to share?
I don't know what's going on in all the other corners of the county.
We're quiet right now.
Quiet, I'm telling you what, theater group is bursting.
They are.
They're gonna have, they had the small film festival. We're gonna have a movie Under the Stars night, at the end of August, and it's free. Concessions are what we're using to try to make money for the theater group.
The
Friends of
mystery
Life.
dinner.
The Mystery Dinner Theater, Hamilton Sing-Along Night. That's gonna be fun. And that, Friends of the Library are still auctioning off
The chair.
the chair of despair. I think we've just broke even on it. But beyond that, they started 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten. They've got, we're gonna go through WIC, and we're getting them books and sign-up sheets at WIC with the directions on how to do 1,000 books. So hopefully the library will soon be covered with kids that have read their first 10 books towards their 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten.
That's cool.
Okay, all I can tell you is that the girls who are playing volleyball are super excited.
Are they?
Oh,
I've been
that's
seeing
great.
some pictures.
It's kind of interesting, you know, I don't know all the girls on the team, but there's only about 3 out of the 17 or 18 that I've ever seen play any other sport, so.
Oh, that's
It's
great.
getting a whole new
That's good.
That's great.
group
Little
of
niche.
kids involved, so.
That's good.
It's great, sweet.
I guess you're talking about volleyball.
Mhm.
Give you an example, well, of course, my daughter played softball, but volleyball was her first sport, and she really didn't like basketball, and the volleyball really gave her another avenue, and then got started in another sport.
Mhm.
So volleyball's great, though. It's one of the cheapest sports that you can put out there, really. Once you get your goal post, or your post and your
Net.
nets established, you're set for a while. But if you get, I would invite the board members to come by during the next couple of days, and I think you'll see the enthusiasm, and come by on the first day of school. You're more than welcome. to come
Are you
in.
guys gonna do a welcome breakfast or anything?
We're
like
having a
that?
welcome breakfast Wednesday morning at 7:45, and then Dr. Foster will be here at 8:30. So if any of the board members want to stop by,
That'd be nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to stop by.
I think she'll be in Breathitt in the morning. She's visiting the 2 state managed districts this week, so she'll be in Breathitt in the morning, and then she'll be at Menifee Wednesday. So if you can stop by at 8:30 and just greet her and maybe go visit the high school
That's what
cafeteria.
I figured.
So I actually would encourage you to, if you can work it in your schedule, if you can. So,
I was just considering actually trying to make it for breakfast, and then I thought,
well, if you, we'll fix you a breakfast at 7:30.
If I could
But
just say
Dr.
good
Foster
morning.
won't be, she won't be there. By that time.
That's fine.
But I would encourage you, if you could, to stop by.
Okay.
Because she has put a lot of resources into the district with the ER staff and other things. She's been an integral part in the state management process. Actually, after Dr. Holliday left, she kind of picked up the the process of the state management process, and done a really good job with it.
And she knows, and she's aware of all the training y'all have had. We sent her monthly report, so she knows what all y'all been doing.
And while we're talking about, that was Rhonda Sims, who's over accountability. that
Right,
just called me
okay.
back just a moment ago. She's also suggested that we hold because she really didn't know where we were going, but she said there would be a district overall rating. She just didn't know
Okay.
how it would be rolled out. She said it really probably wouldn't be if you had 4 schools in the district that were distinguished and 2 that were, or not distinguished, but 5-star, and then you had 2 that were 2-star, and then you had 1 that maybe 1-star. She didn't think you'd just be able to take a combination of add those numbers up and get your overall, because there may be more, especially on that lower end of that one school, there may be more implications.
It's never that simple, is it?
So, she said she just advised that we hold and do what
Okay.
we've done
Okay.
as far as establishing those, like with those I-ready goals and things of that nature.
Okay.
Any more, Sharon?
Okay.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, any nay? Motion carries, we are adjourned.